Let's talk about joints. So, here are the main joints we use in the MTW classroom. We have a butt joint, a halving joint, a housing joint, a bridle joint, a finger joint, a mortise and tenon joint, and a dovetail joint. So, let's start with a butt joint. A butt joint is the most simple of all the joints that are made. If you look here at number 1, a butt joint is simply, when I get two pieces of timber and I want to butt them, all I do is push the end of one against the edge of the other, and I can use glue or a nail to hold them in place. So you can see here, I push one against the other and use a nail or a screw or some glue to hold it in place. And that's all there is to a butt joint. The second joint is a halving joint. So if you look here at the diagram for number 2, in a halving joint, you take out half of one piece. So you can see you have half taken out here of this piece. And take out half of the other piece that's to go into it. So this piece here, there, you can see the half from here is missing. So it's like this. I've taken out half of my piece here, okay, and I've taken out half of my piece here. What's going to happen now, simply, is this half is going to fit into this half. And you can see that. This half here will fill this space, and this half that's here will fill this space. And that's the concept of a halving joint. The next joint that we're going to talk about is called a housing joint. So, with a housing joint, you can see literally a notch is taken out of one in order to house the other. If you look at this test tube rack, you will see it. So, if you look here, where the side rails come across and meet the leg, you can see that the notch has been taken out. And from that notch, simply, the side rail has been slotted in. That's a housing joint. The notch is taken out of one in order to house the other. The fourth joint we're going to talk about is called a bridle joint. Number 4 here. You can see with a bridle joint, we have a notch taken out of the bottom and on top, and we have a third left in the middle. Then we'll come along with our piece that's coming up. We'll leave a third on one side, a third on the other, and take a third out of the middle. Just like here, a third removed, and then a third left. So what will happen is, you can see here, the third from here in the middle will fill this space, and these two on the outside will fill the 2/3 that have been removed here. The next joint we have is called a finger joint, simply because it's like when you slot your fingers together. Okay? You can see here, we've removed one notch, 2 notches on top, and the side piece coming up. So on our side rail, we have 1, 2, and on the top, we've removed the alternate notches. So we have 1, 2, 3. And you can see how they slot together the same as your fingers will slot together. The next joint, and one of the strongest joints we'll use, is called a mortise and tenon joint. With a mortise and tenon joint, a hole called a mortise is removed from one piece. So you can see that here in diagram 6. A hole is removed from one piece. With a corresponding piece, a shoulder is removed on either one side or both sides, and what is left in the middle is called a tenon. You can see this here. The tenon is made to be the exact same size as the mortise, and thus fits in perfectly to fill the space. The final joint that we're going to talk about is called a dovetail joint, simply because the tenon that we have left with is in the shape of a dovetail. Okay, so if we look at our dovetail housing and we look at our side piece with the trench removed, it's the exact same concept as the other joints. The dovetail housing is made to fit exactly the hole that it's been removed from. Okay? So we can see here, we've removed the trench, the same size as our dovetail, and our dovetail is simply going to just slot into it, like so. With regard to joints, there's just two more aspects that I'd like us to talk about really quickly, and they're stuff you'll be familiar to hearing. So the first is the idea of a trench. So, a trench is any piece or any notch that we remove in order to fit a joint, okay, in order to house another piece of timber. The last idea or concept that I'd like to mention is the idea of flush. So, what flush means is, when you have a joint fit together, flush means how well it fits together. So when I rub my finger along, can I feel a hole or can I feel a big lump? Let's look, for example, at this piece here. As you can see, when I rub my finger along, it doesn't feel flush because I can feel the bump, or I can feel the hole where the side rail meets the leg. Okay? But if I look, for example, at this mortise and tenon, okay? When I rub my finger along, I can barely feel where the tenon and the mortise meet. That indicates to me that it's quite flush. The same with the wing of this plane. It's very hard for me to feel where the wing and the body of the plane meet, because it's flush and it fits evenly.